that creates an even better, beautiful bond, because these guys are here for a very short period of time. So we want to give them the best.
Welcome to Unleash Curiosity by Vital Pet Life.
I'm Dr. Amber De Silva, veterinarian and advocate for integrative pet care.
And I'm Donnie Yamamoto, founder and CEO of Vital Pet Life. We're so glad you're here.
This is a space where curiosity, compassion, and science converge, where we explore the powerful mind-body connection that supports your pet's health and your own.
Each week, we'll dive deep into the world of pet wellness, breaking down myths, exploring ingredients, and learning from expert voices across the industry.
From nutrition and sustainability to transparency and advocacy, we're here to help you feel more confident, connected, and informed in your care choices.
So let's get into it, because when we know better, we do better. This is Unleash Curiosity. Today's episode of Unleash Curiosity might feel a little different, and for some, maybe even a bit out there. But stay with us. We're exploring the fascinating world of intuitive animal communication with someone whose story is grounded in real-life experience and an unexpected path to connection. Our guest, Kylie Wade, spent 30 years as a successful CEO leading a major telecommunications company in Australia. Her life shifted dramatically 20 years ago during a trip to Alaska when her boat was suddenly surrounded by 50 humpback whales. The energy in that moment moved everyone on board, a sense of joy, connection, and coherence that she describes as the kind of feeling that makes you want to hug a stranger on New Year's Eve. That encounter sent Kylie on a global journey to understand the energetic and emotional presence of whales. 13 years ago, during a swim with whales in Tonga, she discovered she could intuitively connect and communicate with them. A realization she approached with surprise, curiosity, and more than a little disbelief. Since then, she became a certified whale guide and deepened her intuitive communication with animals, including her own cat, Cortez, who ultimately inspired her to found Blip, Blop Intuition to help others understand their pets on a deeper level. Kylie's work aligns with the growing cultural curiosity around nonverbal communication, highlighted recently in Telepathy Tapes, the viral podcast exploring telepathy within the non-speaking community. In Season 2, Episode 5, which focused on animal communication, one idea rose above every story. Connection does not require words. Now, if communication could move through attention, emotion, and presence, then maybe consciousness is far more expansive, relational, and ancient than we believe. So whether you're skeptical, curious, or already open to these ideas, today's episode invites you to listen a little differently to your pets, to the natural world, and maybe even to yourself. Welcome back to Unleash Curiosity. So, Dr. Amber, I have a question for our listeners. Who of you have this certain special bond with your fur baby or pet wherein you can communicate?
So Kylie realized she needed to share her gift of helping others to connect with their pets. Her journey led to founding Blip, Blop Intuition, where she helps people connect intuitively with their pets. Kylie believes animals hold powerful healing energy that deepens the bond between pets and their humans, guiding them through everything from behavior and health to soul purpose and even rainbow bridge connections.
This is very interesting and unique. Let's welcome Kylie.
Kylie, welcome to Unleashed Curiosity.
Hi, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Hey, we're so excited to have you. We've been waiting for this for a long time. Yeah.
What is your background and what brought you to be an animal intuitive?
Well, it's been interesting, as you mentioned, of 30 years in the corporate world, but behind the scenes, I've been exploring and spending time with whales over these years. I was just caught up in their energy and how beautiful it was, and more importantly, the effect that it had on everybody that was around them. And I found that when I was swimming with them, they were communicating with me, and I sort of followed their messages and what they were teaching me, and realized that, they were sharing with me a whole lot of love and really getting my heart to open and, giving me all those things that I thought that I was kind of missing out on in life. And then I started taking other people to swim with the whales, and I could see the effects that they were having on the humans. And it changes your life when you get to swim with a whale. And then my empowerment coach sort of said to me, you need to see what you can do here to connect humans with their pets and stuff as well. You're already doing the communication and that. So let's try and normalize that. I went off. I'm a certified animal communicator, but I already had all of that there. It's just that I just needed to have someone normalize it. So the beauty that I've been able to do is just to be able to talk. I get questions from my clients. They have a series of questions, and I basically channel in the pet and I have a conversation with them and get the answers to those questions. But more importantly, what always comes through nice and strongly is that the pet has messages for its human, and that's where the real magic starts. And what I like to try and do is once I open that bond up and that communication is through using intuition, is to get the owners to realize that, their pet's trying to talk to them and their pet can actually hear them as well. So then just try to help open up that sort of new line of communication between the pets and the owners, which has just been amazing. And I'm just so blessed and filled with gratitude to be able to help with that.
I know. I was about to say it's magical. The way that because I was able to experience like communicating with my boys through Kylie's help, and the amount of like information I got from the two guys, and what Kylie taught me too on how to see them. Like it changes the way I see my boys. They're basically here in my life to teach me something or to help me instead of me helping them. It's the other way around.
That's exactly it.
I was just going to ask what kind of whales you swam with.
Now, my main whales are humpback whales. I've spent a lot of time with those guys, and they are the ones that I'm like the most connected with. I really feel that the humpback whales have a massive, like all whales have a purpose on this planet, but the humpback whales and what they've taught me is I really understand their importance for balancing, keeping the planet's vibration, and really being the big healers in the actual ocean. So humpbacks are my main guys, but I've had the absolute privilege I've swam with a blue whale, which,
Wow.
the tranquility of a blue whale, the energy is different. All whales' energies are different by species. It's interesting, but the blue whale, the tranquility, it just dropped you into another realm of just absolute stillness. I can't describe it. It's just tranquil is the only word. That's what a blue whale was like. Pilot whales, they're lots of fun. There's lots of, but you've also got to, with the animals, you've got to be set in that energy. And that's where I find like brain heart coherence is really important. If you can drop into their energy, then you're at one with them. It's got to be balanced, right? You've got to match their energy. And if you can do that, then the pilot whales, they're loads of fun to hang with. So I've been around fin whales, orcas. So I love that. So but mainly humpbacks over all these years. Yeah.
So Kylie, what are the most common questions you ask the animals in your sessions?
The most common really is behavioral. That's what I find is the clients that I have is really try and find out, my dog at the park is aggressive, or, when I leave, it's upset, or it's destroying things in the house or whatever. So there's a lot of behavioral kind of scenarios. And when I'm basically talking in regards to that, I come back and find out what that pet's life purpose is and how they're aligned with their human. And generally speaking, as you've already mentioned, Donnie, it's like the pet is here conduit to the owner's soul. And if we have the time and allow for that connection to happen, there are lots that can be there. So the pets are there to be able to heal us, to help regulate our nervous system. But also when I'm talking to them, it's generally the pet wants me to help get the information back to their owner, in that the owner needs to do a little bit of work. And that's where it becomes interesting. And sometimes, it's interesting to have to explain to the owner, well, I think there's something going on in your world. Your pet's kind of mentioned whatever. And the word will be, something to do with there's a bit of anxiety perhaps. And then the owner will be like, yes, tough day at work or whatever else. And so it's trying to then get the message across from the pet of like, if we can regulate your anxiety and your stress and, balance that all out, then the pet can there be to do the healing. Because we do see, and it does happen quite a bit, is that the pet takes on that person's anxiousness and that anxiety. That's just what they're meant for. They're like, as we doing Donnie's pets, they are a filter. And we've got to help them, making sure that we're not pushing too much onto them. Once there's that equal balance and we've got that communication in play and we can communicate that, then it's the beauty starts in where the pet owner can go, hey, I need some energy today. I'm having a really tough day, or I'm expecting to have a tough day. And the pet's like, okay, I've got as much energy as you need and you've asked for it, so I'm going to give it to you. So it's just a slight difference in the balance rather than the pet owner not realizing that they're really stressed and the pet's like, I don't know what's going on here. I'm picking up on this energy and I'm going to try and filter it. But sometimes the way that they filter it can actually filter it into illness for them as well. So getting that kind of balance, I normally find with the communication around behavioral and that sort of, once we've got that sort of understood, then things start to free up and then we can start to work on the other bigger pictures. And then obviously, if the pet might be saying, well, I need a little bit more help here. We need somebody to help break the cycle of what's going on in our household, for example, if it's behavioral. And that's when I'll go to some of my amazing good colleagues and who've become friends who are amazing, dog trainers who can also come in and help from a professional level as well. So it can be a team event to be able to help out.
Yeah. It's really interesting.
What trends in pet wellness and pet ownership are you seeing currently?
I'm seeing quite a lot of people really being open to the communication side. I mean, we're using intuition and everybody has intuition. We've all had it. We've had a situation where your gut tells you something and sometimes you listen to it and other times you don't and you refer back to that. You'll have an instinct with your pet where you go, I'm pretty sure he's telling me he wants blah, blah, or whatever. That is intuition and you are connected with it. So I'm finding that a lot of people, because so many people have pets because of, not necessarily because of COVID, but, a lot came into our world back then. And so there's a lot there and our worlds are now changing. A lot of people want to do things for their pets and they're open up to doing things differently. And really, I think the majority of us have always verbally spoken to our pets. It's now just at a different level. And when we're talking about having a conversation with them, it's not like we're just going to sit down and have a cup of tea and it's going to go for 3 hours. These guys, or coffee, tea here, but yeah, these guys are like one or single words, but they're like right there, and it's the same with the whales. It's like one or two words and you're like, and then once you get that little level of understanding, it's not a big conversation. It just does really bring in that intuition side of things. So I'm seeing there's this trend that a lot of people are now, they're more open to the fact of like, oh, so what do you do? It's like, well, I used to do this and now I'm doing what makes my heart sing, which is, finding a voice for animals and most importantly, teaching the people around them how to be able to connect and communicate with them as well.
Yeah. So Kylie, this is a follow-up question, like kind of the same with what Dr. Amber is saying or asking you about trends. Where do you see the future of animal intuition? Like where it's headed? Do you think it's going to be, as you said, like people are getting open, but or do you think it's going to be mainstream wherein it's just going to be a normal, like, my dog's not feeling well or there's some issues. Maybe I can talk to a dog communicator or animal communicator before, how I can help him before I can go to the vet or, you see that happening?
Yeah. I think that's definitely like we have scenarios where people have tried all sorts of different things and it hasn't necessarily worked. Then they've been coming to an animal communicator to try and get to the bottom of it. That's definitely sort of a trend just to try and see if that can help, where the pet can sort of give a little bit more information. But I think that what I've found, like I get those sorts of questions, but then because it just naturally comes through, as I mentioned before, with that sole purpose. It changes the dynamic of the relationship with the pet owner in understanding that their pet is there as their own little healer. And, we're all very, stressed with work and life and all of that, but in the right environment and in the right way, our pets can be there to help us self-regulate our nervous systems. And once I can kind of teach that to the pet owner, then it becomes a healthier relationship as well, as I already mentioned. And then that beautiful healing session comes along. So I'm hoping that it's definitely going to be more mainstream, that we see that we can communicate. But also one important thing that I've been noticing a lot, and especially more in more of a wildlife situation, but does come into our pets, is sometimes
Yeah.
it's just watching their behavior. How do they handle a situation? Because the beauty of our pets is that they're not in their brain. They're working from their heart. They're listening to Mother Nature, which is heart. And whereas we're in our brain and we get lost in a million different filters. And if we can just sit down and watch our pets and how when they're in a particular situation, how they act, we can learn from them to let our filters go. So there's also that which comes into play. And I'm thinking and hoping that will start to become more mainstream. We're going to start to listen more to our pets, listen more to the animals in the wildlife. It's all intuition. And if you get a feeling that you're walking down the street, it's like, I seriously think that bird said something to me. And it's like, what was that? And you stop and you just go, it just resonates with maybe with where you're going to or what's actually happening or something. And it just gets you out of your head. Like it just stops all of that chatter that's in there and it makes you come back. Like you notice the bird. You might have walked past and that bird's always in a tree with a nest, but you've never noticed it before. And it just has that one little moment of where you're silent enough to be able to hear something and you just connect. And once you've got that, then you open up to it more and more and more. And that's the beauty of it. And I'm hoping that more mainstream, more you start off maybe needing an animal communicator for help with, behavioral, but then it will help to open up this beautiful relationship and one of the reasons why they're here to help us on this planet.
Yeah. I would want that to happen. Like, other than the bond between your animal and yourself, like the domestic ones, I feel like, when you're more in tune and really being aware of your surroundings, not just the animals, but I feel like also like the trees, plants, like they give us so much messages. That's how I feel. Even sometimes it's funny, even if like the more I'm in tune and aware of the surroundings, like I see the different colors of the sky. It's more vibrant, like the way I see it. And it makes me go back, as you said, makes me forget about whatever issues that I have to worry about with work, the business, but it's more in that moment, like being in my heart or coherence, right? As you mentioned.
Yeah. You just reminded me, I had this one dog and it kept on saying to me, I need for my mum to look up when we're walking. I'm like, I don't know what that means. And part of the fun for me, or not fun, is I write these things down. I'm like, oh, I don't know what this means. And I have an obligation just to say it. And if it resonates, right? So I said to the owner, I don't quite understand this. Your dog wants you to look up when you're walking. And she went, oh, yes, I do a a dog meditation when I'm walking. I've got it on Spotify. There's this dog meditation. I'm like, I haven't even heard. I don't know what this is. And she said, but sometimes I get distracted and I am on my phone while I'm listening to the meditation. She goes, he's telling me to put my phone down and to look up. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And I get goosebumps, right? And then I go, yeah. And she goes, yeah, it defeats the purpose. I'm actually on my phone and I'm listening to a meditation and my dog's telling me, get off the phone and look up. Like, as you said, Donnie, like, see the trees, see what I'm looking at, watch what your dog's looking at. Like, it's noticed a
Yeah.
bird, it's noticed the trees, it's noticed that particular smell.
Yeah.
So it was funny that was the message. And I had no idea what the dog meant about, can you tell my mum to look up? I'm like, okay, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I felt like my boys always, there's like a certain time in a day when they think like, hey, you've been on your computer the whole time, and they let me go outside. And when I'm out, they just starts like, running around, playing, tugging. And I'm like, okay, not too much. And then, they like playing around me. And that's when I tend to look at the mountains and I'm like, oh, it's so bright today. The sun's so
Mm,
different. Like it just makes me more aware of my surroundings. And I feel like they wanted me to see what's going on outside and just
yeah,
being on my computer the whole day. So
yeah,
yeah, it breaks my routine, which I like. So I thank them for letting me break it and realize that there's another world outside than in
yeah.
your computer. Yeah. Dr. Amber, have you done that with your animals or like, with the patients that you have in the clinic? Like, have you tried communicating with them?
I mean, not really. Like, this is all new to me. I like in vet school, we're trained to, look at behavior for sure, body language, that type of thing. So that's what I've relied on with my own pets and my patients. So,
Yeah.
Do
Yeah,
you think?
it's interesting, isn't it? I guess it's a cross science scenario. And the thing for me is like it's intuition. I've got a really amazing friend who's a dog trainer, and she's like, I'm not an animal communicator. And I'm like, well, you are, because you're watching, you're observing, you can predict it beforehand. That is actually communicating. Like, I
Yeah.
get it from a science point of view, it's a
Mm-hmm.
study of behavior. But,
Yeah.
when you really think about it, you're studying the behavior of, you've got 10 dogs in front of you. They've all got their own little brains, right? So
Mm-hmm.
every behavior is going to be different. There's something that's there that's a little crossover when you can go, I sense that's going to happen. And it is a sense. That's intuition. That
Yeah.
is animal communication. It's just that I think we talk about it, as like when talking to Donnie and, pointing things out with her dogs, like, oh yeah, I kind of get, like, I do that. It's like, well, but that is animal communication, right? This is just opening it up to, as someone mentioned to me this morning, it's more exercising that muscle of
Mm-hmm.
intuition. It just helps develop that bond. So I'm fit for it. But if anyone can get there at just even the slightest of levels, it's just that until someone says it, we don't realize that we're actually kind of already doing it as
Doing it.
such.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was about to say. Like, I feel like, to a certain degree, our medical practitioners, like the vets, to a certain degree, they're communicating with animals because for them to be able to really like understand and like how to touch them, as Dr. Amber said, behavioral. But I think that muscle or at the same time, like culture, we're not really taught to like, because it's science, right? It's not authoritative, but you study this issue that you have steps to determine. There has to be intuition and communication that goes with it. I don't know. That's how I think. And again, like, I think it's just a different way of viewing things, I guess. That's how I feel. The more I'm in tune with the boys, the more I sit down and really listen to what they're telling me. As I've mentioned a while ago on our very first minutes of our conversation, that the more I listen to them, the more I learn that it's not really me taking care of them, but they're here to help me get through like whatever it is that I'm doing or purpose that I feel like helping them be healthier, I guess, or make sure to create better products for them. So Kylie, other than behavioral issues, what are the most common questions that you usually like communicate or ask the animal? Like what does the let's say for me, I'm really curious about the purpose or what's the sole purpose that my dogs came to my life, and what is it that they're trying to guide me to do, to be doing something, or can you give us examples?
Yeah. So I guess there's like, out of the modules, if you want to say so, one of them would be, as we said, it'll be a behavioral scenario, so that we will have like, I'd take about like 10 questions around behavioral, and we'll look at that. The next sort of topic would be medical. So I can go in if someone says, my dog's got this issue with its back and it's currently on these medications. And so then the questions would be like, how are you feeling with the medication? Is the medication helping? Can you show me the areas where you're sore, or where you're not feeling well? Is there anything else that we can do for you? And that was interesting with, and we'll get into it, I guess, with the questions that we asked with with
Tuxedo.
tuxedo, and then like, and just using him as an example now, his was like, hands-on healing, and he wanted to be, we used some Jin Shin Shih Tzu to do some energy locks releases with him, and how he kind of enjoyed that. So, I can pick up like medical things along those lines. The other subject that we would do, as we've mentioned, is doing soul purpose. So what's the pet's soul purpose and the human soul purpose? And then the questions, and that's more of a channeling of a message that the pet wants to get to its owner, which I love those. They're really always mind blowing with what the pet has to sort of say. And then one that I really enjoy doing is what we refer to as a rainbow bridge. So obviously when the pet has passed, and that's sort of, the owners will have various questions as to, was it peaceful? Are they okay? Who did they see? What's going on now? Yeah, which is really beautiful. But that also just reminds me, with the medical one, there's always a question that I throw in at the end, and it's like, are you ready to go? And so the pet will be letting me know of like, yes, its time is up, it wants to go, and then helping with that transition. And we refer to it, or studied it as far as, setting up to have what we refer to as like a VIP day. So the owners know that the time is coming, they're ready to go, and it gives the owners then that opportunity to spend amazing, as much fun with them as possible before they make that decision that it's time for the pet to go. But we've had that conversation to go, yes, I'm ready to go, or no, I'm not ready to go. And that can be incredibly helpful. For example, like I've got my 18-year-old cat, Cortez, who helped me get into this communication stuff. He went blind about, sort of 12 months ago, and he's got a few things going on, and he's like, I'm ready to go. And I'm like, no. I do this for others, but I'm not doing it for myself. But it's been beautiful, because now, like, he's still around. I'm not sure, like, I know that he's ready to go, but we just spend so much more valuable time together, so I know that when the time comes, I won't have any doubts. I know he wants to go. I know he's happy to go, and I'm spending every opportunity that I can, not over the top, but how dynamic. It's like our communication and everything is there, and I feel that is just absolutely privileged, because I've had a lot of pets in my life, and I've never had this unique ability to be able to do this, and this is making it so much different for me to, I think, handle the grief, and then for me to understand that I can sort of chat to him on the other side. So, it's a really peaceful sort of way of, when you have to get to that point, to be able to have a communicator come in and ask those sorts of questions as well.
Yeah. Dr. Amber. Dr. Amber's like,
I'm just
is there
taking
anything?
it all in.
I bet. I know. So Kylie, like, everything that I'm doing, like spiritual stuff and all those stuff, I share with Dr. Amber, and I think it's something new to her. Like, it's not something new, but I bet like it's, what is it, Dr. Amber, that, you're just trying to like marinate all the information.
Yeah,
Like
just,
the EFT.
sit back and learn and listen and take it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
is great, right? And I think, as you said, Donnie, like a lot of this is really to help the human and help them sort of connect with themselves.
Mhm.
As I keep on saying, regulate their nervous system, and
Talent.
yeah, and so there's a lot to take in if you think that you're communicating with the pet, but it's the gifts that they're giving back,
You. Yeah.
and you tapping into that a little bit more than what we might normally do. And once you're open to that, like if you think about it, if it's your pet that needs to be put down, and you can have an opportunity, if someone can chat to it and channel the message, and they say yes, they're going, that they want to go, then there's that natural little bit more regulation of the nervous system. You can deal with it a little bit better. You can, help with that sort of transition. I've been in various scenarios where I've had one scenario where I've had a dog. Someone sent me a video. We were looking at something, and I'm like, "What's going on with that dog in the video?" And it's like, "Well, I need to go to this place and see this dog." I didn't know for what reason, and this dog was like I need to go and my mum's not listening and I'm really stressed and I can't leave her and I need your help. And I'm like, this lady didn't ask for this. Like, oh, how am I going to bring this into it? With a bit of help with one of my other friends, we kind of started to bring in I did communication for one of her other animals and then spoke about some other things. And then she was kind of open to it a bit more. And in the end, she ended up, the dog was put down, but we had that communication and that was what got her to there, because that dog might still be around today and it really didn't want to. It was serving a different purpose. So that was an interesting one, but it made me really understand the importance of the communication around that line of when a pet is ready to go, and sometimes the owners want to maybe just keep on holding on for a little bit too much longer.
Yeah.
But if they had an ability to have someone communicate with their pet, it might help them, let them move through that process.
I feel like too, like animal communication, like changes the way you see the bond between the animal and the owners. As I've mentioned, like there are some studies that I've read somewhere that in spiritual Asian cultures or indigenous cultures, they listen to animals a lot because they mirror what the person, like if there's a sick person, like they kind of wanted to see if there's an animal that lives with them and figure out, like, if what's going on with the owner is exactly the same as the animal. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like I feel so much with Tuxedo. Like Tuxedo picks on my energy a lot. Same thing with me, with him. Like if he's having stomach ache, I feel the pain in my stomach too. Like that's how connected we are. And then, I don't know if it's just me, but that's how I feel it. Like that's my intuition. Like I'm just so connected with him. Yeah. And I think again, it changes the way I see him being in my life. And hopefully that, the more I get to experience this day to day with Tuxedo and with Martin and, experiences with other pets, like the more I can be decisive or be responsible with whatever it is that I'm putting out in the market for other pet owners or for the animals, right, that can use my products. Like they're really helping me to think twice about, like, okay, what is the next ingredient or what is the next product that I have to launch or release, or at the same time, like, what do they really need?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Off-planet learning, as we say.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Dr. Amber, do you have any takeaways?
I just think that it's a way to like improve your bond with your animal too. I mean, I think that's a huge part of it is to, because that's why we all have pets, like because we have that bond with animals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just opening it up to another level that everybody's already doing. And, once you become aware of it, then you can work with it a lot more. And if you see a dog that's, it's aggressive, it wants to, fight other dogs and whatever, and then you look at the owner and the owner's like, oh, there's another dog coming, and gets all anxious and goes like that. And the dog's like, oh, why are you're getting anxious now? Why are you getting anxious? I need to get anxious. And when you can communicate that the animal doesn't want that, it just wants you to be strong and to be there for them, then it doesn't have to protect anymore. And when you say that to the owner, they're like, oh, really? And it's like, well, just give it a go. And then obviously, get some professional help from a dog trainer, like, because if you've got an aggressive dog, it's going to take a little bit to unwind. But if you then have that sense of understanding and you as I've mentioned before, can bring in some brain heart coherence and do some breath work beforehand, so you regulate yourself so that you see another dog coming and you don't start to get like that, and your dog's communicated this to you, then you all both start to work together. So it's exactly as you said, that's when that just a little additional information that comes in that just, as we said before, that's where the magic begins, and that creates an even better, beautiful bond, because these guys are here for a very short period of time. So we want to give them the best. We don't want to overpower them with our energy, and we want for them to do their purpose, which is to help heal us as well. Yeah, developing that bond
Can you quickly
priceless.
share, Kylie, about now that you're mentioning about energy? I remember when you taught me that The dogs will never know if it's a good or bad. They just see it as energy. That's why you have to be careful too with what you put out within the field with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got this personal experience. It's my experience. So I have one of my youngest dog, Keto. When she was a little bit younger, she was a bit anxious with me leaving the house, even though she had my other dog, Miska, here. I'd be running out the gate, like, oh, have I done this? Have I done this? I'm normally running late. She's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I didn't realize it at this time. I did whales. I didn't do pets. I didn't understand this. So I'm running out the gate, and whatever was the last thing in my head, it'd be like, did I put my shoes up? No, I definitely put my shoes up. I put my shoes up. Yeah, my shoes are up. And then I'd go. And then I'd come back, I'd open up the gate, and there's my shoe. And it's like, when I started to talk to Keto, it's like, well, the shoe was important. I had it waiting for you. I'm like, that's not funny. It's like, what do you mean? Like, I was thinking my shoe is important, but the communication isn't like that, right? So it's they hit shoe. And I'll do the same thing. I'll go out the gate. Did I put my reading glasses away or not? That are beside the bed. They're there. So now this is what I was referring to, your intuition becoming a memory thing. Like, now that I understand that our dogs know what we're thinking all the time, and then we're now communicating with them. But now when I leave here, I get Keto and I go, Keto, like, I'm going to out for 5 minutes. And we've got a thing that we've learned. So, you've got, how you have the parking gods that you pray to, that you just give me a parking spot because I'm running 5 minutes late.
Yeah.
So I just say to my dogs, and we've been taught there's a Maria. And I said, there's a Maria in the front of the house, in the back of the house. And I'm all excited, like, front of the house, back of the house, upstairs, downstairs. There's one on you. There's one on Miska. It's all exciting. We're going to have a fun day. I'm at the gate. And then they're like, okay. And I've gone. But I can see their energy change because my energy is there. But I had to put the effort in to make that extra little bit of time to bring my energy up, to set it all up. And I've been experimenting with this for the last, I don't know, almost a year now. And one of Donnie's and my colleagues brought this concept up, Bina Maria, which is crystal. And so I thought, I'm going to try that with the dogs. And it works. Sometimes I've actually gone and walked up the street and then come back. Because I know that not to check. No, it's more to the point that I know that the fact that I forgot to do it, my energy would have set them off at a different level. So it's just being mindful of some of those little things as well.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So those are the things that I learned on how much they pick up on our energy. So that's why as I said, I'm very mindful with how I leave the house. I always feel bad leaving them behind. And I think they're picking up on it when I leave because I see them on the camera, tuxedo howling, crying. But now I'm like, there's a toy. I'll be back in like 5 minutes. But, I don't tell them straight in their faces. But, my energy, like, I'm like, ooh, I'll be gone for a while, but I'll be back. You guys go play with your treats and I'll be back.
Yeah.
And they seem to be like, today, I'm like, I was just telling them for some reason after our talk, Dr. Amber, with Christine about Bluey. So Martin, our little dog, the 2-year-old, likes to watch TV, and we've been putting out Bluey on TV every time we leave. And today, when we got back, they're very quiet. And I noticed on the video, because we have a video in our living room where they hang out, they were just watching Bluey.
That's so funny.
I'm like, okay, Kyle, turn on the Bluey before we leave. Yeah. So for some reason, Bluey's keeping them company. Yeah, you should try that, Kylie, with your dogs.
Yeah. I always put on like 532 hertz music for them, and that just gets them also into that understanding that I'm going to be out for a while. That when they hear that particular music and it's set at that vibration, that seems to work for them as well. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, thanks again, Kylie, for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Kylie. How can our listeners reach you?
The easiest way to reach me, we've just got the Blip, Blop Intuition. So a page at the moment, just drop a message on there, and I can come back to them and answer any of their questions.
Yeah. Thank you, Kylie.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you to everyone who tuned in today. Don't forget to click the follow button so you'll be notified about our new weekly episodes.
This is Dr. Amber. Thanks again for listening. We'd love to hear your feedback. Let us know if you have any questions about this episode, and we'll answer them in an upcoming episode. Email us at podcast@vitalpetlife.com.